Right.
Everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so I removed the reset that was here. Created two event listeners. I tried doing a remove just like this, and I cannot get it to work. I'm not too sure why. So this is how I like creating them. The only downside is you have this variable kind of hanging outside. Probably not the most conventional way to do it, but so this is where I had trouble, was this.
Mm-hmm.
I had it stored inside. So basically every time I hit add user, it would call this draw user function here
Mm-hmm.
and reset this data, this array.
Right.
So that's where I was stuck for a while. So I just popped it out here. I'm not too sure the best way to implement how to actually get this into a separate function to work.
So as a
Oh,
global
nice.
variable, especially if you want your global variable to be accessible to multiple functions, it's totally fine leaving it outside of the function and just tossing it at the start of your code.
Chad said he'd kick our cats if we use global variables.
Oh, did he?
I always thought they were kind of orthodox to do that as long as it's not a whole lot, but I mean,
Me
I don't.
too, but yeah, he posted it in the Slack about kicking cats.
I mean, I could see an event listener, but variable, you definitely probably could clean that up, but I don't know.
Yeah, my only thought on the global variable thing when he said that was like, I was wondering if like you have a large program with a whole bunch of like different JavaScripts and other things running, if you declare like a global in one, could that carry over? Like if you have other things interacting with it, and that might not sound very good because I don't know how to phrase that very well.
Right. I think I get what you're saying though. Having a global variable in a file is not good practice because it's existing outside of the class that you're creating in this file, right? But for the purposes of like an exercise, for example, like it works. But I definitely see where Chad is getting at. You don't want to just rely on global variables. You want a little more precise control over how you're manipulating your data. But yeah, let's take a look. Let's see this running. Hit one of these buttons and get the user to generate. Cool. Nice. And it's capped out at 4 users. Afterwards, it looks like it just stops adding them, right?
Yeah, there isn't a reset functionality, which that's the only problem with it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's good. You've got it to work. It's functional, and you were able to hit some of the stretch goals. Great job.
Thanks.
All right, who is next?
I'll give it a whirl if you want to see it.
Right on. Go for it.
I got a little bit of a bug that I didn't have time to hash out, but it should be relatively easy. Let's see. Is that? Let me get a zoom a little bit out of here. Bring that a little bit over more. All right. I guess where should I start? So I pretty much just got rid of the state change. I added a counter into the state object. Nice. And that's how I'm deciding when I hit 4. What else did I do special here? And then on the remove users, I have that counter going back to 0. So I guess that's where I put that like reset. And then The only bugs I have is it's just doing random number on the users. This was going to be to track it. And I was probably going to do a separate method to check and make sure like the user hasn't been already pulled in. And if it did, I would just run it again. So that's the bug right there, is I can pull the same user 4 times if I get really, really unlucky.
I see.
And then the other thing I would change if I could is make this so it displays to the left and not on top of the user, because I did get that random avatar working.
Right.
It is random.
Nice.
That only pulled 3. Oh, there it is. There's 4. Okay. And yeah, I can't pull any more than 4, and that'll fully reset it. I did run into an issue when I was originally using this, and I had to hash it out to where like if I double tapped remove users, it was locking my get users button, but I got that hashed out. So yeah, I would just move this avatar a little bit more to the left in styling.
Right. Right.
Whoops. Yep, and that's pretty much all she does.
Cool.
Oh, here's 2 Urbans. Yeah, so there's the duplicate. There's the bug right there.
So that's interesting how you're having it styled in lines 23 and 24. Have you tried playing around with the styling inside of the index HTML at all?
I have, but also not too much. Like if I did a style sheet, I would have done it straight from there. I just didn't do a style sheet. Yeah, normally I would have just thrown that into the style sheet, but because I just didn't have a style sheet, I just threw it into this. But I just did that because if I don't do that, when I get it, the meme is huge.
Right.
So I just did it for a little bit more readability, and yeah. That's it. Yep, that's everything.
Cool. So you see how you're creating those elements, image, for example, you could use that to toss that into a style block inside the index.html and apply the styling directly in there.
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so let me actually share for just a few minutes the one part that I think I glossed over during the start of today's lesson, and it's really just how to actually call those elements from Bootstrap. So I'm gonna pull this up, and we want this file here. So if we go back to the documentation on Bootstrap, let me actually, let's take a look at navbar, for example, or even just nav. Nav is a little simpler. This is a base class that you could call directly with .nav. And what it does is it will pull this code into your code. So here I have in my index.html the nav class, and I am pointing it to navbar. Well, that's a wrapper. Let me actually use this example. I'm pointing it to nav, and then I'm able to select specific styling like a dark background. And if we were to look at my example again, what this looks like in action is this right here. This top navigation bar is the nav bar wrapper with a specific nav property. And then we have the nav class right beneath it. And I have the background set to dark, and above I have the background set to a primary color. So play around with the CSS, the Bootstrap a bit. The documentation is there. Maybe there is a bit of a learning curve to it, but for this upcoming challenge, if you have some time left over, definitely take a stab at adding some additional styling. Let's see, where are we at with time? I think we have enough time to maybe go over one more example. Would anyone like to share their exercise solution?
I can share mine.
Cool. Right on, take it away, Philip.
All right. I've also pretty much got rid of the state and the reset, and then I commented out the parts that applied to those. And then similar to the other two, I added an event listener for the remove button. And so when it calls remove users,
Mhm.
we basically look at the main ID and set the inner HTML to empty, and that should just get rid of anything that's in there.
Nice.
And then what did I do for adding? Sorry about that. For all users. Yeah, this is how I checked to make sure that it was not more than 4 entries in there. Basically, the child element count will count the children of the main ID,
Nice.
and that was like the best way I was able to get that part working. I didn't get to styling the page or anything. And I also used like a random number like the other two solutions, and then the remove will just clear it. I'm pretty sure it's still clearing it or trying to when there's nothing in there, but you don't really see it, so I left it.
Awesome. I do like that you're using the query selector with IDs, ID strings passed in. I also like that you use that child element property. Can we take a look at your index.html?
Yes.
Nice. And let's see. Yeah, I see. You have your buttons set with IDs. Right on. Awesome work. Cool. Yeah, great work, everyone. You all got through the exercise, hit some of the stretch goals. I think you are ready for the challenge. Let's we're gonna stop the recording, and you all can feel free to take a 10-15 minute break. And when you get back, just jump straight into the challenge. Stay in your same pairs from earlier, and we will reconvene at 9 o'clock to review, unless you need more time, of course. I'll check in at 9 to see how much time y'all need. Sound good? Cool.